Guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So the Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature trailer literally just dropped and I've already watched the whole thing. I have quite a few thoughts and opinions on it, and I thought it would be cool to kind of just go through the trailer, pick out some snippets from different parts of the trailer and talk about it. So this whole trailer kind of tells a story, like most of them do, how it looks like there is a teenager living at home and she's not happy necessarily being cooped up in a house, and so she decides to live off the land and then in the end becomes a fairy. It seems like that is the story behind it. It's a very well done trailer. If you guys want to watch it, I'll leave the link down below in the description. So over here we have just the first thing that I want to talk about. This is basically just the screen that was displayed while we were waiting for the trailer to start. So you can see there's a timer and you can see a lot of plants, a lot of greenery. Looks like we're going to be getting a new bed, which totally makes sense seeing as this is expansion pack. There's like this flower branch detail on the wall, which I really like. Looks like we're getting a new bookshelf, very like wooden themed obviously, and looks like a little acorn plushie or a little acorn decoration over there, which is really cute. I think all of this furniture is really adorable and I think it really suits with what the theme of the pack is. I really like this new bed because it gives very much like fairy vibes, so it's really adorable, I think. Now, as the timer was going down, the room slowly started disappearing and you could see that we were being exposed a little bit more to nature, which is really cool. The floor is disappearing, it's becoming more overgrown, more natural flowers are, the bed is changing. I think it's a very cool starting screen that they decided to do to kind of show a transition into nature, and this kind of just continues until the countdown ends. Now, with this whole trailer, I will say the music was really good for the trailer, but I'm not going to include it just in case there's like copyright or anything, but the trailer will be linked down below in the description if you want to see it for yourself without me talking over it. So down here we have 4 seconds to go and you can see that the whole area is very overgrown. There's some gnomes in the background, some more kind of nature furniture. There's a bench in the distance, which I've seen that bench somewhere. I don't remember where I've seen it. So the trailer kind of starts here with your sim. It looks like she's dreaming of becoming a fairy, and it does seem as though you can become a fairy in the future. The sim looks very sad, but you can see that this is her room. She very much likes nature and plants and stuff. So I'm assuming there's going to be a new hairstyle that's going to be available for you. It looks like flower earrings, some new clothing. I am very far behind when it comes to what's already in the game, so if I misspeak, I apologize. In the background you can see a mirror with like some gardening around it, which is very creative and unique. I really do like that mirror, and some pictures that look like it's in some wooden framing, which is really cool. So over here they're showing off a new aspiration that we're going to get, nature nomad. So the teen sim is very happy and she decides to leave the home. This is showing off the world a little bit, I believe. So these are different places that will be available in the world. So you can see that there is a little girl over here that looks like she's in a fairy costume, which I'm not surprised that they would bring out fairy costumes for a pack centered around fairies or that has an aspect of fairies. So it's cute that children can have like the little fairy wings, and it looks like painted on little flowers and stuff. I'm assuming that might be under a tattoo category, but I'm not sure. I don't think it would actually be a tattoo because that's frowned upon. You can also see quite a few of the windows in the background, which again very themed. Like, I'm not surprised by the style of it. I think it's really cute and kind of sticks to what the pack is offering. So over here in the trailer, they're basically showing how your sim is able to live off the land. It shows you that her hunger is going down, and she's able to forage for food. You're able to get mushrooms, sage, and a frog, which she eats the frog, which I just want to point out that is a very weird and disturbing feature of this trailer. I don't know, I guess if you're starving, sure, but I don't like that. It doesn't sit right with me, but whatever. Apparently that's going to be a feature that you can just eat frogs that you find. I prefer eating like the mushrooms and stuff that you're able to find. Looks like there's a little gnome here. Now, considering that a lot of the teasers we got felt so centered around the gnomes, there's not much shown here with the gnomes, which is very interesting. Over here we see that the sim has very bad hygiene and she is able to bathe in the water to get her hygiene up. She then has very low energy and it shows that she's now able just to sleep on the floor, just out in nature, and she wakes up with an ailment, which they spoke a lot about this in the little teasers that they released, especially that something is growing website. It looks like a notice board over there. She's walking past some shops and stuff, and it looks like this guy will be available in the new world, and it looks like she's basically asking for a cure. So Todd Attenberry Attenberry. That word sounds familiar. I don't know why it sounds familiar. But basically, Todd Attenberry over here is able to provide you with a cure if you provide the harvested ingredients. Now, I really hope that there's a option to just pay money instead of getting the ingredients. I'm not the biggest fan of a game forcing you to get something through only collecting items and stuff, because I've always said a game like The Sims, I feel like the best part of it is being able to kind of choose your Sim's path and just to kind of make the personality feel like something they would do. So if I have a Sim that gets an ailment but they're not necessarily into the whole harvesting reward finding these items things, it would be nice for them to just pay. Like if they're a millionaire that doesn't necessarily like spending a lot of time in nature and they get an ailment, it would be nice to be able to pay for it. But this is showing off you having to get ingredients. I hope there's another way, but this looks like the main way to get it. You have to get a bunch of different things. Petals, you have to get Bottle Moody Shrub Potion. So it looks like this plant is a new plant. It looks like a magical plant that will probably be centered mostly around helping with ailments, I would assume. You deliver the ingredients to this guy and he basically gives you a cure, is what it seems like, and voila, you're cured. It's now showing that your Sim is like living in the outdoors, building a nice little starter place. I'm assuming that is the apothecary. I can't say that word. The table where you create your potions and all of that fun stuff. You can see the build and buy objects. I really like these things. I like that little mushroom thing that kind of looks like it might be a shelf that's hanging off the wall. It looks like that's a possibility. I hope that's what it is. Either that or it's just like a decoration, I'm not too sure, but it looks like we're going to get a new sink, which again I'm not surprised about. I do really like the style of these things. And over here they built a little hobbit hole, which if you're in the live stream, you know Simmers were going crazy when they saw the hobbit hole. She also has her own little garden with the plant boxes, and I can see some new plants there. I think the sage is obviously already in the game, and I think the daisies are already in the game, but it looks like there are some other plants there, which is very interesting. I would hope that a pack focused around nature would kind of involve some more plants that you're able to harvest, and you can also see some new like lanterns and stuff as well. Very cool. I think a lot of people are going to be building like hobbit holes. Next up over here, they're just showing that your Sim can sleep on the ground again. And again, you can see that little acorn statue next to the spot, which is really cute. They then build a house. So over here, if you want to like stop and pause, you can see a lot more items that will be available. It looks like there's going to be a new fireplace as well, some new stairs possibly. You can't really see the stairs too well, but yeah, this is really cute design as well. I think that's a new mirror as well, with a bunch of the mushrooms and stuff like that. So this is like the little house that they built, and it's like part of the hobbit hole, so very much embracing nature. Now I believe this is the part of the trailer where they're showing off the new career, because I believe that you can now make potions to help other people. It looks like this Sim has a new ailment, simoleon fever. She has the simoleon sign all over her and coughing up a storm. Oh, coughing up money apparently. And it looks like you can now make a cure for them. So I'm assuming that has to do with the new career that they're talking about, another ailment that they're busy showing, and it looks like she's harvesting some ingredients possibly. And over here is the dancing fairy house. Now, when this was first introduced, everybody went absolutely mad. This is our first look into fairies, and it's interesting that the trailer is almost finished until they properly show you what's going on about fairies. Kind of suits my theory that fairies actually isn't a huge part of this pack, but more just like, oh, let's just throw it in and see what happens. That's very much what it feels like. But they're having a dance party. The Sim is checking it out, and bam, a fairy has appeared. So it looks like they start off tiny and then they grow into a full-sized Sim. There are some other fairies here as well. We can actually see a pregnant fairy as well, next to this Barbie fairy. I want to call her Barbie. She reminds me of that movie Mariposa, I think it is. Barbie as Mariposa. But yeah, you can also get pregnant fairies. Over there on the right side, you can see there's a male fairy as well. And you can also see the different wing types. I think the wing types look pretty cool. So here's some interactions you can see with the fairy. It looks like the main Barbie fairy has turned your Sim into a fairy. So it seems like you can play as a fairy. What concerns me is that that's it. That's all that we saw. It's just us being transformed into a fairy. We've seen the Sim live off the land, but we didn't see the Sim interact with the world being a fairy. But over here we have the end screen. We'll get back to talking about everything in a second. Basically, it says that this will be available on the 10th of July, which we already knew. If you guys want to pre-order it, there's an option. And I think if you purchase it by a certain amount of time, then you get some bonus items, which they tend to do this with most packs. You get a lofty leaf pond, which is a very cute pond. You get a luminous Mycena lantern, and you get a disguised dwelling fairy home. So I think it's going to be like another fairy house, but more low-key. So that is basically the whole trailer. There's some bits and bobs that I still want to talk about a little bit more. Like I was saying with the fairy portion of the video, they didn't really show off fairies that much. You can see what they look like, you can see the different wing types, and you know you can get pregnant fairies, but we don't know. But when your sim becomes a fairy, we don't really know if anything's going to be different with the way they interact or anything. I'm assuming they can just click on the fairy house and like sleep, eat, and party, similar to The Sims 3. And I'm assuming if your sim is a fairy, I'm assuming you might be able to turn other sims into fairies as well. I'm very curious about this because as soon as there were whispers in the air about this pack, so many people were excited about fairies and talking about fairies, and they haven't been advertising the fairies as much as I feel like they should. If it was a focal point of this pack, which I really don't think it's a focal point, I mean, it's called Enchanted by Nature. I'm just surprised that they didn't show off more of the fairies, and especially the gnomes. They didn't show off the gnomes at all. I'm assuming it's going to be something like fairies are going to be helpful to nature and gnomes are going to kind of cause some trouble in nature for not only nature but your sim as well. That's what I'm assuming. But they didn't even show off the gnomes, which is weird because if you've seen the Something Is Growing website, they put gnomes everywhere. So yeah, I don't know. They showed off some of the new things, but I think this trailer was mostly just showing off how you can interact with the land. That being said, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of new stuff with the pack, in my opinion, for what we've seen. Obviously the build and buy mode objects, that stuff is very different from what we've seen, but the actual mechanics that they're showing off didn't impress me. For example, over here they're showing that your sim is hungry. So instead of just going to the fridge and getting a meal, you are now able to, it looks like, click anywhere on the floor and say forage here or sleep here, which even though that's not exactly what we've had before, you can harvest plants from around the world. If there's a plant growing somewhere, you can harvest and eat those things. And even if you're living on a lot where there are no plants, you can like go to a park and normally there's a lot of wildflowers or wild plants where you can pick up and stuff. So the forage here thing to me isn't that impressive, and it doesn't really feel that new. Like, yeah, I've already been in a situation where my sim has eaten mushrooms they found from a wild plant or sage that they found growing in wild plant. Frogs, I don't do that stuff. I don't like that that's an option. It's an option, but it's not my thing. I would never actually do that. But also it looks like there's a lot of water in this world, and even that other guy, this chap, he's even thinking about fishing, which again is kind of like living off the land itself, and that's already a feature where you can catch a fish and kind of like eat it or grill it or something like that. So this part of the pack, nothing feels new to me here. The next thing we have over here is that your sim has low hygiene, and so they're busy advertising the fact that, look, you can click bathe in water and your sim is able to get her hygiene up. Now, I have a few questions when it comes to this. First of all, will this work in any world, or is this only going to work in the new world? I believe the new world's name is Inniscreen, so is this only going to work in the waters in Inniscreen, or will this work in Solani? Will this work in Windenburg? Because there are bodies of water in a bunch of different worlds, and we have a ton of worlds. If this only works in one world, that's very stupid. Also, this isn't really a new feature. I don't think. Showing off that you can get your hygiene up without a shower isn't that impressive. I can't even remember the names anymore. If you have like the beach pack, basically you can bathe in a waterfall. You can also woohoo in the waterfall, but you can bathe in a waterfall, which is basically this, except your sim's not using a waterfall, it's just using any body of water. Also with the seasons game pack, your sim can just shower in the rain, like literally anywhere. You can walk out of your front door and shower. So the fact that they've added a new feature where you can now bathe in the water, I don't care, we've already been able to do that with other packs. Like, to me, that's not new. Now, I guess the next feature to talk about is the sleep here feature. And I don't know if we've had anything like that in any other pack necessarily. I know your sims can just pass out, but that is something completely different. And most of the time, I wouldn't recommend it unless you just want a funny moment. So this does feel kind of new to me, but at the same time, But at the same time, I have kind of done it before. I don't know if this cheat still works, but I remember years ago I was playing The Sims 4 and I actually took a bed and I sized it down so that you couldn't really see it. I put like plants everywhere. Not exactly like this, but similar to this to hide the little bed. And it looked like your sim could kind of like sleep on the floor. Yeah, they were like floating a little bit. But with cheats you can kind of do this, but I don't think you can do this in the base game. I don't think you can do this with other packs. So this particular feature does feel a bit more new. But again, like normally I just get my sims to sleep on a bench or something. For me, I don't really mind. But what I think will be cool about this, and I hope you're able to do it where you're able to kind of take towels or pillows and like put it on the floor, and like a rug or something that looks like a blanket and put it on the floor so it looks like you're sleeping on the floor but with a blanket or a rug or pillows. I hope you can do that. I have a feeling if you click on the object like the rug, you won't be able to sleep there. I guess it's kind of cool to be able to just sleep anywhere, but it also doesn't feel like there should be a whole expansion pack featured around these features. Like the bathing water, we already have that. The forage food, you can somewhat do that anywhere as well. You can even order like fruits and vegetables from your phone and it's automatically delivered in your inventory. So it's not exactly foraging, but you can just eat vegetables anywhere. I'm always disappointed, but it just doesn't feel exciting to me. I haven't played with all the packs for very long. I'm still getting used to it. Everything feels very cluttered and overwhelming, so I can't really play the game for too long. But something like the ailments, being able to get cures and basically make potions and stuff like that, apparently we already have similar features. I think it was with the camping one. I don't remember. Outdoor retreat. It's called Outdoor Retreat. Apparently with Outdoor Retreat, you can kind of brew potions on a grill. And with that being said, I'm pretty sure with the magic one, the realm of magic, the whole thing with witches and fairies, I'm sure you'll be able to do potions as well. So this also doesn't feel that new. Like you get ailments and you get a cure for it. Even for like get to work, and I know the ailment system is probably going to be different from getting a sickness, but at the core it's basically the same. You get some sort of illness, you can take medicine to cure it. Only in this pack it looks like you have to harvest the ingredients. Like I said, fingers crossed. I hope you can also just pay for the cures, because that would be nice too. Now obviously the career where you're able to supply cures and stuff, that's going to be a new system. I don't think we have anything like that in game, unless you create a brew or you create a potion and you just kind of like sell it using businesses and hobbies, or get to work or anything. So this is kind of different in that aspect. I hope that it's also a career you can just send your sim off to, because I personally prefer rabbit hole jobs, just because I tend to have like really big families and it's hard to keep track of everyone. So I like sending sims off in the rabbit hole to do their thing. If it's like a work from only career, I probably won't use it that much. Now, other than all the stuff that I've mentioned, the only other exciting thing I guess for me is fairies, but they didn't really show off fairies, so I can't really give my opinion on that. I mean, the outfits look cool. It's difficult because in a reveal trailer, I don't want to just talk about the build and buy mode. I don't want to just talk about cast mode. I do like what I've seen so far. I think that we're getting some pretty cool things, but the actual pack itself, I'm not really that impressed. Watching this trailer, I was more impressed by the windows that we're getting, the doors that we're getting, the plants that we're getting, the outfits that we're getting. I'm not impressed by the actual gameplay. And over here, like you can see, it says more gameplay, more fairies on June 26th. So I'm assuming during that live stream, they're going to focus way more on fairies, hopefully, and show off some of the gameplay. So I definitely want to watch that. I don't know if it's going to be a trailer or a live stream. I hope it's a live stream. This trailer didn't really do it for me. Didn't hit the spot. I don't know. I wasn't really expecting too much, I'll be honest. I am happy that it seems like I was wrong and you can become a fairy. I just want to know more about that. So I guess we're only going to find that out in, what, like 2 weeks? So something that I do want to say that I didn't say earlier is that this expansion pack would be really good for people wanting to do the rags to riches challenge, or people just kind of wanting to do a runaway teen scenario or runaway whatever scenario, because you can live off of the land, and it is like you start with absolutely nothing. You start with 0 simoleons, so you don't have to worry necessarily about buying a shower. You can just bathe in a body of water, or you don't have to worry about going and harvesting different plants because you can just forage anywhere on the ground, or having having to buy the cheapest bench so that your sim can sleep on the floor. So I do see that aspect, and I feel like this game pack would work specifically for those scenarios. I can see a lot of people who buy this pack taking that route with their gameplay. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this trailer. What do you think is going to be in the game? What were you expecting? Is this beyond your expectations, or are you like me and slightly disappointed? I'm not even disappointed. I don't have any emotions towards like this trailer, I'll be completely honest. I'm not trying to just constantly hate. I do like the build a buy mode objects. I do like the CAS objects. The actual pack I'm not that interested in right now. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!